I live in California. There was one question I had for you. You posted an image that you entitled "The Sun to Make You Happy," and you typed today, tomorrow, and for the rest of our lives, the sun will rise every day and shine upon you and shine upon me. It is my prayer that maybe the sun will make you happy. It has brought me great joy in my life. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that picture that you put up.
Sure. That picture, it does have a little bit of history behind it. It was drawn by a young child in the Traralgon Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. This child had been abused or actually raped by a fellow member of the religion, not in that congregation, but in another congregation. This was, when I started this case, this young child was quite small and was part of the original group of children that I decided to stand up for and to protect. And when I started my initial campaign for compliance, on several occasions when I wrote letters, it was in regards to her so that she could feel safe within the religion. When I decided I had no choice but to prosecute the case myself, I had to resign from the religion. One, I was ashamed to be a Jehovah's Witness, and that was a great part of not wanting to be a sharer in what they were doing. The other part was that if I was disfellowshipped, then all the action I'd taken as a member of the religion would be discredited. I'd be forever labelled a disgruntled former member, someone who's disfellowshipped, etc., etc. So to protect the integrity of the case and to do the right thing, I resigned. Now, there was some time later that I was down the street and I saw the family where this young child, she was about 4 at the time, she was skipping along and she saw me and she came up to me and she said to me words along the lines of, "Daddy says I'm not allowed to talk to you." And then she explained the reason why, and she said, "Because you don't love Jehovah." And that was because she had been told that I was no longer a Jehovah's Witness. And then I just stood there looking at her, because what do you say? And she then gave me a hug, and off she went, skipping along, back with her family. And then it was about, I think it was later that week or possibly the next weekend, my mother came up to me and she had a little picture which I've got on my wall. It's a small circle of paper, and it was what this young girl had drawn at kindergarten, and she'd asked that it be given to me, and she said to tell me that it was the sun to make me happy, or the sun to make you happy. So that's where that picture came from. So I'd spent the previous couple of years trying to make sure that both that girl and other children in the congregation, as well as her sister, were safe. What I didn't know at the time was that this young girl had been raped just a few weeks before. And I didn't find out about that until well, not really that long ago, and that really shook me up. And what really hurt me about the matter was that the body of elders refuse to comfort the parents or refuse to offer any help to the family in coping. They didn't share a scripture with them. They wouldn't share a prayer with them. They wouldn't do anything with them. And later I was able to find out that they had contacted the lawyers for the Watchtower Society as per instructions on when elders are told about child abuse, and then to follow their instructions. And the instructions by whatever person at the Watchtower headquarters, I know who he is, he knows who he is, and I know he's listening right now. That's what this person ordered to be done in the name of this little child's God. And this man is part of the Committee of Management for the Religion of Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia. And had the trial continued, this is one of the men that would have been individually charged in relation to breaches of the law. And it's sad because while he wasn't a person who was involved in the abuse of this girl, he knew it happened, and all he had to say was to the elders, help the family. Give them a prayer. Give them an article, which I ended up giving to them. It was one of the articles from comforting families that have gone through that. But he wouldn't do anything. And that actually showed me what the heart condition is like of this man. And more importantly, this man was appointed to the position he was by the governing body. And it's not just that it was this man that did that, it was this man did what was expected of him. And that showed me what the heart condition was of each member of the governing body, that this is what they expected to happen, this is what they expected him to do, this is what he did, and as a reward, he gets to represent the name of God and gets to stay a member of the religion, and there's no accountability because the case of what's going on at the moment is all finished, but there was one twist to the whole thing, and that is later on the Watchtower Society said that it's the responsibility of individual members of the congregation to get the Working with Children licence. Now, the people, from what I can understand, is the child would never have been abused if the religion had enforced the child protection laws, because the people who accessed her and the person who did this, it would never have occurred because that person and the members of their family chose to personally not comply. So they would never have had access to this child. And if that doesn't really make sense, I don't really know how to explain that because I've never had to write it down. But that's the backstory on that picture. And I've got it on my wall. I used it as the little, I think they call it gravatar or image on my personal Facebook page. So yeah, I've kept that, and it's a sad story, but that's just one of the innocent victims of this whole thing. Interestingly,
sorry for interjecting. The little girl, she seemed to have knowledge that you were standing up for her. Otherwise, why would she be giving you a gift? Correct?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
So she knew you were standing up for her, which is quite amazing.
Yeah,
in the midst of being told that you were a demon.
Yeah, I actually found out that she was aware that there was something I was doing that was special to help look after the children. And so that was the situation. She's a school kid. The interesting thing about it is that she was one of the children that was a part of that open letter to the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses from the children. There's, according to her family, there's a couple of little sayings in that letter that she has, her personal little sayings about apologising and saying sorry, because she learns those sorts of things from just being a kid. So some of her actual words that she regularly uses was put into that letter, and so that's the child that wrote to the governing body, told them what happened, and sent it out in an open letter, the same letter that they asked me to publish because no one in the media would print anything about it, even though I understand that there was one of the big newspaper groups in Australia did interview a number of the people that were involved in the letter, including that girl's father, but they wouldn't run it. They could have got it printed if they'd paid the $25,000 or whatever it was to get it printed. So they asked me to publish it, and I did. I asked them if they wanted it to be served individually on each member of the governing body, and one of the family said no. I don't want that done. It's enough that the prayer was said about it, that God knows about it, and that it's an open letter and it's there. If they want to do the right thing, they'll apologise to this child and a couple of other children that were also abused that were a part of the letter. But no, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses isn't interested in an apology. The body of elders in Traralgon refuse to talk to the family. The father of that girl went to the courthouse yesterday to sit through the court hearing. There he was. There was only 3 people who turned up to observe the hearing. One was a reporter. One was the grandmother of some children in the Traralgon Congregation that had been abused, and one was the father of this girl. And after the hearing, the father went up to speak to the legal counsel from the Watchtower Society, the person that was representing them, who is a member of Jehovah's Witnesses and a minister of religion. I wasn't aware of the situation, but I was told after the court hearing that night. He went and approached the legal counsel, that's Rachel Van Whitson, who's an employee of Vincent Toole Solicitors. Vin Toole's is a Bethel elder and the in-house lawyer for the Watchtower Society. And the father approached her because the father is a Jehovah's Witness. He's of good standing in the Traralgon Congregation, and he approached her for help, to help with the abuse of his children, because none of the elders would help. And it was this woman that had given legal argument in court a few months ago about the faithful and discreet slave, and presented arguments for the Watchtower Society of Pennsylvania and everything. So she was there, she was presenting arguments or discussions for her, and she is a sister in the Jehovah's Witness religion. He went to her for help, and she turned her back on him. And from there's a lot of people in the courthouse that saw that. This was after the hearing. He asked her for help for his raped children, and she remained silent, stone cold silent. Again, he said, please, please, help my children, help. And she walked off with her back to him. Now, this is the woman that was authorised by the governing body to look after the case. The father's devastated. I know. He told her he was a Jehovah's Witness. He told her he's a brother. I asked him afterwards why did he approach her apart from getting help, and he said that at the time she is the only representative of the religion that's ever been within approachable shot. He said that he's gone to assemblies and he's asked to meet with members of the branch committee, but he can't get there because they're behind locked doors with bodyguards, or as they call attendants, that are guarding them. He's written them letters, help, help, help. They won't help. So this time he approached her, and he then said to me later on that he did that for the help and because it said in, I think he called it Schedule 18, which refers to Matthew chapter 18 in the Bible. If you have a problem with someone, sort it out between you and them. And as she's the person that represents them all, he tried to do that, and the religion just turned their back on him and just walked away. And I'm just sick. I'm sick of the attitude that the governing body have, but more importantly, I'm sick to the stomach that these men expect people like Rachel Van Whitson and Vincent Toole to actually do this to children, to do this to parents. The very people that they swore an oath to God to protect are the very people that they're victimising. Or as the father said to me, they pray. It's spelt differently.